Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for a special Haute Living Wine Access edition of Decanted. Super excited as we have a very special guest tonight. And I'm going to start off by introducing my partner in crime from Wine Access, Vanessa Conlon. Vanessa was the head of sales and marketing for several of Napa's most prestigious estates, including Arietta Wines, Dana Estates, Realm Cellars. Previously, she was a retail buyer and wine bar director in New York. She's a president of the board of Jamison Animal Rescue Ranch, holds a Wine and Spirits Education Trust, or WSET, diploma, and was a recipient of the Nikki Singer Memorial Scholarship from the International Wine Center. Vanessa became the 52nd Master of Wine in the United States in February of 2020. It's always an honor to work alongside with you, Vanessa, and I will hand it over to you to introduce our star of the evening.
Thank you. Oh, Kamal, always great to be here with you and Haute Living in your community. It's an honor and great to see Amar'e again. We actually recorded a podcast earlier this week, which will be live on Wine Access Unfiltered coming soon. He appears to be frozen on my screen, but I'm going to hope that that's just fine. I'd be delighted to introduce him, but actually, since he's the guest of honor, I'm going to introduce you, Kamal, first, and then I will introduce Amar'e, who I hope is here or will be rejoining. But in the meantime, okay, I think so. Perfect timing. I'll introduce you, and then once Amar'e's back. So Kamal Hachendani co-founded his highly celebrated luxury platform, Haute Living, over 15 years ago in Miami, Florida, building a network audience of some of the most affluent and successful business people, philanthropists, entrepreneurs, and celebrities in key US and international markets like New York, Los Angeles, Miami, London, Dubai, and more. His personal affinity and love of fine wine led to partnerships with some of the most celebrated wineries and spirits houses in the world, such as Dom Perignon, Cristal, Louis XIII, Armand de Brignac, and Perrier-Jouët, as well as cover features with some of the most noteworthy figures in the fine wine world, including Francis Ford Coppola, Bill Harlan, and Margaret Mondavi, among others. He has been featured in globally renowned publications for his wealth of knowledge, specifically in the celebrity athlete wine space, like in ESPN's The NBA's Secret Wine Society, definitely need to talk about that today, and Le Monde l'Énologie, L'Autre Terrain de Jeu de la NBA in France, and facilitated monumental wine experiences, like assisting the legendary Kobe Bryant in launching his watch at the Napa Valley Reserve, an amazing place. We should definitely talk about that too. Taking this one step further, he most recently launched Haute Wine Society under the Haute Living umbrella, a digital platform dedicated to fine wine and spirits, featuring exclusive content with like-minded wine aficionados like Carmelo Anthony, Sting, Jimmy Butler, Louis Fonsi, Ludacris, LeBron James, and more. So it's honor to be back with you, Kamal. I think we're waiting for our guest star, but I can certainly talk about him in his absence, and that way I don't have to embarrass him. I'm always embarrassed when people read my bio in front of me. I don't know how you feel about that, Kamal, but anyway, yeah, this is like
he's on the cell phone here while he's rebooting, so he
okay. Okay, good. Well, Amar'e, it's my pleasure to introduce you. And it was such fun talking with you on the podcast earlier this week, which has yet to be released, but will be. So very excited to share that in the future. So Amar'e Stoudemire, one of our generation's most celebrated athletes, Amar'e has built a reputation off the court as an innovative entrepreneur and philanthropist. With a lifelong passion for education, Amar'e seeks out knowledge and experiences that cultivate self-awareness, strengthen bonds of community, and deepen our respect for nature. Whether in sports, fashion, or art, Amar'e is a stylish maverick. I can attest. I only saw him for a minute on Zoom, but the hat, I mean, come on. A stylish maverick whose influence has noticeably shifted the tides of popular culture. At age 14, Amar'e began to play organized basketball, which changed his life forever. Over the course of his NBA career, Amar'e played professionally for the Phoenix Suns, New York Knicks, Dallas Mavericks, and, of course, the Miami Heat. A six-time NBA All-Star, Amar'e was NBA Rookie of the Year in 2003, a bronze medalist with the USA Olympic basketball team in 2004. We talked about this on the podcast, which was fascinating. I definitely want to ask him about that again today. And in 2013, took the Knicks to the playoffs for the first time in a decade. Stoudemire is also a co-founder of the Hapoel Jerusalem Basketball Club and recently secured the 2020 championship and MVP title with the Maccabi Tel Aviv. Returning to New York in 2021, Amar'e has joined the coaching team of the Brooklyn Nets and is pursuing his MBA at the University of Miami. So not in his bio, may I mention, is he's an actor. He writes children's books, and he has a farm and sells grass-fed beef and steaks, all kinds of. So like this bio is just a mere just preliminary snapshot into our guest star today. So I believe right on time we have him back. So hopefully, hopefully you can hear us, Amar'e.
I can hear you perfectly, but I can't. My computer's having some major difficulties right now. Still working on it.
It wouldn't be a live Zoom if one of us wasn't having a complete computer meltdown. So it's really fine as long as you can hear us. that's the most important thing. So maybe while we're waiting to see if your computer reboots, I'm going to post a link in the chat to Amar'e's wine from Paso Robles, which is available on wineaccess.com. So there you go. If you are in the chat, and I would like to also encourage anyone watching at home that I will be monitoring the chat and of course looking at the Q&A. So if you have a question, please be sure to post it, and we'll get to as many as we can in the next several minutes. But delighted to be here, and this is the wine that we'll be discussing today. So Stoudemire Origin. So this is Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. So I live in Napa Valley. I'm sitting in Napa right now. So it's a little bit further south from here, but a beautiful region for growing grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon. There you are. Perfect timing. We were just bragging about your wine. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Everything's great.
Right. Well, it's great. It's great to see you. Do you? I'm a little concerned. I don't see wine in your hand. Do you have wine in front of you?
But it's the reserve here. Here.
Yeah, I have these.
I have it all in my possession, and then the origin here.
That's what Kamal and I are drinking. But yes, I have your other bottles here, which are not from Paso Robles, from Israel, which I'm very excited to talk to you about as well. So anyway, and before we go further, may I just say again, it was such a pleasure to chat with you on the podcast the other day, and I'm really excited for that episode to release. You know, Kamal was a guest as well, and Kamal got amazing feedback about your storytelling. You have probably the deepest network of anybody that I know. So I pretty much bring up any sort of celebrity or famous place in the world, and you're off to the races. So it was a difficult podcast to edit because there was so much there that we could probably have done a whole B-side with the cutting room floor. So great. Well, I have a ton of things, Amar'e, that I would love to ask you about. And as I mentioned, for people watching, I'll also be asking questions from our viewers. And then I know, Kamal, you guys have a deep history of knowing each other. Do you want to just say a few words about kind of how you two met and how that relationship evolved?
It's been an amazing journey. I originally met Amar'e on our friend Lauren and J.R. Ridinger's yacht, but our relationship, I was in Paris for Fashion Week and for the men's shows, and Amar'e is very fashion forward and one of the pioneers in style within the league. And we spent some time in Paris getting to know each other at some unique spots and checking out some events and stuff together in Paris. And him coming to Miami and being obviously in New York and then coming to Miami further solidified our friendship and relationship. But we had some cool moments together where we at Haute Living was able to host a very special birthday celebration, which for me was one of the cool things because I was looking at spaces, and it's the first time I did that, was drop a Ferrari in the dining room of Cipriani, and we had a very, very special celebration honoring Amar'e. And then another great time I remember, which we bonded and had a great time, was his retirement from the NBA. Holt Living had the great privilege of hosting a special dinner for him in New York. And that was a magical moment because it was a great mixture of what Amar'e was about, some of the greatest street artists, people in fashion, and it was just a real meld of culture of what he represented. To sort of see that room come together and honor him was, another memorable experience that I'll carry forever. So hand it over to Amar'e. It's been a great, great journey, my brother, and congratulations, and a true honor on behalf of Holt Living and Holt Wine Society to be a part of this launch and this stunning bottle with beautiful juice in it. So,
wow! Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We met on the Friends of Ours yacht, and from that point on, Kamal and I became great friends. We worked together with the birthday party in Miami. There's some spectacular things we did there by putting the Ferrari right there in the center floor, and we had all the tastemakers in Miami there, and all my staff in the Miami Heat was there. It was amazing, like the culture in Miami. Then also New York by, with my time in New York by being a part of the Met Galas and fashion shows, and then also being like a Broadway producer. I produced a Broadway play in the acting world, having that collaborated with art, and then have like a retirement party there in New York before I retired and went overseas to play. Kamal and I was able to somewhat develop an awesome friendship and a partnership on the way.
Well, you mentioned a number of things that, yes, cheers to that. You mentioned a number of things that you do, which is actually one of my questions for you, which is how do you do it all? With that, acting, you have your farm or your business with the grass-fed steaks. You're obviously on this more executive coaching side. You're pursuing your MBA. I don't know if I even mentioned children's books yet. So I'm just kind of curious because I'd like to know for my own productivity, how do you manage all of that?
Well, I have an awesome team. I always kept myself, surrounded by people that are a lot smarter than I am. I just have a great team. People that work with me have enjoyed being a part of, of the brand and being able to create these things, and everything that I'm involved in is strictly off of a passionate experience of mine, whether it's writing, being an author, writing books, whether it's, cookbooks, whether it's food and wine, whether it's farming, whether it's fashion, designing collections, acting, producing, all these things that I've done and that I continue to do are passions of mine. So it makes it easier for me. And I make sure I align myself with people that are very passionate about what they do, that are also in the same field.
So we do have, I'll come back to, I see the questions in the chat. I'm so glad to see these coming through. I'll come back to these later, but there's one I did want to ask now, and just also point out that I'll post in the chat again. But if anyone's interested in drinking this delicious wine at home, that it is available at wineaccess.com. So here is the link. But I did there's a question about the artwork, Amar'e, on the bottle itself, and what does it signify? Which actually I would love to know as well.
So the label is a label that was collaborated with the artist Naturel. Naturel is a amazing artist based out of here in New York. He has so many great collaborations. He's actually one of the top 25 artists that was selected to basically collaborate with the sport karting world, where he's able to now create, cars of athletes. And Topps is a major brand. These sport cars is major, massive. They're worth a lot of money, these cards are. And so for them to choose him as one of the top, I think, 10 artists in the world.
Here's them.
So these bottles are collective items. This artist that's on this bottle is simply out of this world. This is a guy that's going to go down as one of the greatest artists of our generation. So for him to be to bless us with this label and with this Lion of Judah that's like, just pronounced in 3D looking, is amazing. So I would advise anyone that has a bottle of this wine to hold on to it for a long time, because the artist that's on this bottle is gonna go down as one of our greatest artists of our generation.
It's beautiful. And Kamal, I know you have the bottle in front of you too, and you have such a beautiful eye for fashion and art. But I just love it. I love how his mane almost looks like the cut of a diamond, the way that it's textured. So I'm curious. I didn't grow up around wine. I ended up pursuing wine as a career because it was a passion of mine. But like, what was the moment where you thought, I love this, I want to know more about it?
For me, I was doing a lot of food and wine situations. I would travel the world and I would do a lot of wine tasting and pairing it with certain foods and cheeses. And so when I truly gravitated to wine the most is when I stayed at the Chanel Chateau in Bordeaux in France. And I was there and I was just gravitated by the entire culture. I met with the sommeliers and I met with the winemakers. I went to all the vineyards. I sat down with them and asked them so many questions about the filtration process. When do you harvest? What barrels do you put the juices in? And so I did all that for a while, and that's when my love for wine really grew.
Well, I'm impressed that you pursued it after that particular experience, because I think that actually there's so much fascinating things to know about sort of the growing of the grapes, the making of the wine, but there's a lot of things that it's just a lot of hard work. It's a lot of labor intensive work, and it's not the romantic side, actually. The romantic side is popping a bottle and enjoying it with friends. So especially impressive that's what hooked you. I sort of feel similarly. I didn't have like one bottle that I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. I sort of liked the learning of it as well. So I can definitely identify with that. Okay, so you learned about it, you fell in love with it, but then like the step from actually enjoying it, wanting to know more, and then becoming a vintner, that's a big sort of leap of faith. So did you have people advising you? How did you get started actually making your own wine?
Well, I was throwing these great parties I was having in my rooftop in New York City, in the meatpacking district down in New York in Manhattan. And I was, I have all my A-list friends that come by and they hang out and we taste wine and we just relax and chill, play cards. And so I had a buddy of mine that was providing all the booze for me. And so he was watching my journey along the way, like with me traveling, tasting wine and involved in food. And my chef was there and I have all this amazing food and wine now. And he was like, man, Amar'e, you should probably start your own wine one day, bro. I was like, I mean, listen, I never thought about it before, but it's not a bad idea. And so that conversation led to the next. I ended up meeting with the company out of Israel. And so I basically started with them. I started tasting certain juices, figuring out the proper blend. It took me about 6 or 7 months for the first set of labels that was designed by David Zimmerman out of Phoenix, Arizona. And so I wanted something there that's timeless. I wanted something that was family oriented that I can, pass down to my children and they can be proud of what their father created. And so that's what I wanted to do with that particular collection of bottles. And then, so I just kind of grew from there, and what I wanted to do also is basically change the ideal of kosher wine and make it somewhat pop culture, make it entertaining for the world, make it, something good that people can drink, and also keep up with the traditions of the holidays. And so I was able to accomplish both, thank God.
So you have a winery in Israel, and then also you make wine in Paso Robles, of course, as well here in California. So how do you approach them differently, if at all, in terms of kind of the wines that you want to make in both places?
Well, Paso Robles is like my new hangout chill area. It's kind of like, that place is amazing. It's like ruins of the ancient volcanic areas. The soil's different. It's, you're gravitating to an area where it's like that soil produced different types of grapes, and those grapes are then now somewhat filtered and were harvested and then filtered through, which creates the juices we're drinking now. So this is a different passion of mine. And I also want to have like an American-made product. And so that's why I wanted to come back to America and figure something out here in California.
Are there any other places in the world that you would like to start making wine from?
I mean, I can never, France is one of my favorite regions for wines. If there is opportunity there, I will for sure take advantage of it, but I'm not totally sure if it is. But France for sure will be the next stop.
So, Kamal, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the wine. I know you have it in front of you as well. And again, this is the origin from Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles for anyone watching at home.
I like it's full, silky.
Yeah.
I had the fortune of trying some of the original bottles with Amar'e and some friends. And I love the Paso Robles area. It's something that's newer to me over the last couple of years, but really I've gained great appreciation for as you were talking about the soil and the taste and the packaging. It's a real collector's edition. And I would like to add on to what he says, definitely hold a bottle, but definitely drink a lot of them because it's super well priced. And for the product at the level that it is, Amar'e really delivered a slam dunk.
Yeah. We have a question about it actually in the chat, which is a good one, which is how do you know when you found the winning taste? So basically, if you're tasting all the different blends and trying to decide on the final cut, what is it that speaks to you that makes you make your final decision?
For me, I need something that's somewhat easy to drink, but has a lot of flavors to it. So whenever I'm casually hanging out with my friends and celebrity friends, and they want to just relax and also drink a nice glass of wine without it being too heavy on them, that's kind of my idea going into like creating a certain juice. And so when I go through the different blends, I try to figure out that particular mix that allow me to truly the wine, have a nice tasteful event where I can drink more and not be too taken back by it. And so that's how I create my blends.
Got it. I'd love to ask you a little bit about sort of the wine culture of the NBA, because this has gotten a lot of attention. There Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne Wade, and of course you. So many people who are just really passionate about wine. Did this just happen organically? Did you guys just all sort of realize you share this wine, or was there sort of one person who was the leader who said like, hey, this is, I want to share this bottle with you, and then everyone sort of got excited from there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, we just carried the torch. I mean, there's been guys and legends that played in the NBA for years that was wine drinkers. I mean, from Wilt Chamberlain to Bill Russell to Michael Jordan, all these guys were wine drinkers, and so we're just the guys that happen to be in a generation where we can promote this in a different way, where social media and so forth can be more known. But this is NBA culture. These gentlemen who are very well dressed and very well paid, and they want to enjoy lavish and luxury lifestyle. They just pass it on down to us, and so we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just trying to enhance the culture further. In today's time, a lot of guys drink wine, enjoy wine. Myself, as you mentioned, Carmelo, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, a lot of guys, LeBron James, for an example. All these guys, are all wine drinkers who love to indulge in wine.
And so now you obviously know a lot about wine. Now, I mean, you're a vintner. Do you feel like sort of there are players who look up to you as their wine guru and look to you for guidance?
Yeah, a lot of guys call me, text me, ask me questions when they see me about wines. I kind of took the whole wine space to a different level when I decided to take wine baths.
Yes.
So it took the wine drinking culture to a new level. But yeah, a lot of the guys always text me, they call me. When I see them in person, they always ask me about different wines and what can they find my wine. Actually, they ask me a lot of questions about. But yeah, for sure, I'm there for them.
Well, we asked you about this on the podcast, but of course that's not released yet. So for anyone who's wondering, there is a photo that was on Instagram, I believe, of you in a bathtub full of wine. So can you explain what happened?
Yeah, it was a very romantic setting. It's a spot where it's like very like Mediterranean-ish, where it's like nice music, and you walk in and the lights are very dim and there's candles lit, and so you go and take a nice shower and you go into this massive bathtub that's full of wine and water, and it's about 95 degrees. Nice sentimental music being played,
You sit there, relax. They bring you a nice ice, glass of water, super nice cold glass of water. They bring you another glass of wine separate from the wine that you're bathing in. Okay, let's be clear of that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you just sit there and relax and just enjoy while you're, you can check your phone, send out emails, whatever you like, but you're just relaxing for like 40 minutes inside of a bath.
Wow. Kamal, have you ever taken a wine bath?
I know the place where he's talking. It's actually a Spanish monastery type vibe. I haven't done the wine bath, but I've sent some friends that as a gift. So it's, but he was definitely the pioneer in starting the wine bath. And as he said, he took the wine game to another level, once he started bathing in the wine and got a lot of attention. But similar to what I saw he did in the art world, which was super impressive. In early days, we were always talking about his appreciation for art. And he really went and took a different approach from what you would see people in the industry or in the game, and really went and built a platform for the artists and built a collection of the best artists, but gave them a special shine on their career as well, leveraging his eye and his sphere of influence and his following. And it was unbelievable in his series, because curated some stuff with Sotheby's, and to see in such a short time how someone could make an impact in an industry unrelated to what, what's there in a 1,000-year-old industry. He came and really was a disruptive movement in a short time with a series called In the Paint, which he did some very, very, so it's no surprise to me in referencing what you're saying, how he gets it all done. Not only get it all done, he gets it all done at the highest level and over delivers. And that's what I feel the same thing about this wine, where you're going to be able, where he made this product at $29, it's accessible to the masses, which is something he really wanted to push it for the people and for the culture. The same way with the arts, where so many of that world is so inaccessible, the platform he created, the shows, and the access that he gave in education. So cheers to you once again, my man. You got another smash it on your hands.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to that. So, Kamal, you mentioned doing things at the highest level, which is leads me to something that I'd love for you to speak to, Amar'e, which is being at the Olympics and what that was like. Because I think obviously you played a million winning games in the NBA, but how does it feel different walking onto the court, at the Olympics versus, a game during the season?
Yeah, the Olympics is a whole new world. It's a total different world because you're now playing against the world's greatest athletes in your sport, but you also got a chance to see the world's greatest athlete in every single sport. So you're experiencing and you're hearing these stories and you're reading about these athletes, because there's so many articles being written around Olympic time. There's so many stories being told about how they train and perform and the way they eat and nutrition and things. And so you learn so much that helps you as an athlete to want to take a few notes out of their book and apply to yourself over time and help you become better in your craft. But just being there and the opening ceremony was most electrifying to me, is because you seeing the torch being lifted up, and they light the torch. Yeah. Everyone's singing, everyone's like enjoying themselves. You're outdoors. And for me, I was in Athens, Greece. And Athens is where the Olympics originally started. I was a whole part. Yeah. The Olympics were in Athens. And so for me to be there at that time at 24 years old, experiencing this and then traveling the world, it was a major eye-opener for me. And it was beautiful to be a part of.
And, that had to be such a rush of adrenaline. I can't even imagine walking into the opening ceremony. But speaking of adrenaline, so how do you, if you had nerves before a game, how do you manage that? Like, did you have a whole routine in terms of how to kind of psych yourself up or calm yourself down?
Yeah, no, I just speak to people randomly. I speak to all the athletes. I speak to the trainers, say hello, just interact with them. And that way everyone gets to know you. And then when it's time to perform, it's like, hey, I know everyone basically. So it takes away the nervousness of that. But, you know, when you have a personality to where you like to, you know, you can speak to someone and be friendly and open with someone, that takes away all the butterflies and nervousness, and that helps your player perform.
Got it. I have a sort of random question, but I've always wondered this. Obviously, right now, and you know, you're on the more executive coaching side. I realize that, and also there aren't really much live audiences going on. But so, sort of going back to your days, you know, on the court, like when I sit in, you know, in an arena and I feel like I'm like yelling words of encouragement or whatever, like I feel like you guys can hear me, but I have a feeling that you can't at all, right? So like, how much can you actually hear from the crowd when you're playing?
No, we can for sure hear the crowd. We just block them out.
Yeah.
Because you can't let you know, certain things affect your play, and it happens sometimes. You know, sometimes you know, you can be, you know, shooting a free throw, and it can be extremely quiet, and someone yells something, you know, at the crowd, and if you let that bother you, then you can miss your free throw and lose the game.
Right.
But there is times throughout the game when it's like a moment where we can relax. It's not as serious, or after a timeout or before halftime or so forth. You have time to interact with the fans. And so that engagement is always key. You know, it helps us a lot to be able to interact with the fans and give us more energy, and also makes it a better experience for the actual fans and say, hey, I had a conversation with, you know, so-and-so at halftime. Amazing game. You know, it just brings the aura to a high level. Got it.
So, Kamal, what's your favorite memory of watching Amar'e play?
And well, I have so many, because just watching the evolution of his career, and then I love New York, I love Miami, so it was a good fortune to be able to have him in the home place we call home states. So it was always great. But to me, my favorite moments are really off the court, and seeing his relentless pursuit in knowledge. There's very few friends of mine that at that level that are continually learning to be better and striving for greatness at all times. And it comes back to this wine. It reflects in that, because I remember coming at a point and watching Amar'e do some tastings of wine, but simultaneously to doing his tastings, he was doing his online MBA. And talk about multitasking, you know, while you're doing your MBA. So going into the league as early as he did, he took the responsibility of going back and pursuing an MBA, which is he's in the final legs of. So things like that is inspirational, and seeing how people, you know, that have really hit a pinnacle and you think they've done it all or achieved it all, that continue to set goals and smash those goals. And that's what I feel in witnessing the birth of this wine. He took that same mindset in just really raising the bar and delivering a great product. And as he said, did it for the culture. And there's so many great things behind it. As he mentioned, well, first and foremost, the product is great. It's well priced. It's a product for the people. But even the fact that he created a collector's item as a, you know, sort of a double whammy, that you save some of these bottles and they age like fine wine, and the bottle actually appreciates based on the artist, or sort of what this, you know, has become sort of a collector's piece. So I would say definitely off the court, on the court, he's made a monster impact, but off the court and the things that I've witnessed is really where I would say the favorite moments. And that's just that relentless pursuit of excellence. And you did it.
Well said. Cheers to that. I have another question. Now that you're in Brooklyn, you're more on the executive coaching side of things. Are there things now that you wish kind of someone in your position, being on the coaching executive side, had said to you when you were still playing?
Well, you know what? It's funny because it's like you see things from a different perspective when you're on this side of the field, right? It's like you are noticing situations that I'm sure every player can improve on if they know the things that they, you know now as an older person, you know. So I do think that throughout my career, I happened to play 18 years, you know, and I played 4 years overseas, and I learned a lot along the way. But I was blessed to be able to now accomplish my goals even as I got older. I'm mature enough to know where my last 5 years, I was able to see things from a executive standpoint and to somewhat be able to perfect certain aspects of my game along the way. So I have no regrets, but there's definitely, as a young player, there's so much more you can improve on, only if you knew the things you would know once you get older. And so that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Kamal, go ahead.
We have a special question from a special guest. What's your favorite meal to cook for a special guest paired with one of your wines?
Ooh, good one.
Say it again, Kamal.
What is your favorite meal to cook for a special guest paired with one of your wines?
I've been recently now learning a lot of culinary skills. I have a private chef that I work with once or twice a week, and we learn chopping skills and we go over all the culinary skills. Just want to prepare for my future wife, man, so that way she, But I think what I would probably cook, and prepare with the wine. There's two situations here, right? You can also, because this wine is not a super heavy body, somewhat. You can also prepare a nice coconut milk saute chicken with rice. With this meal, you can do your spices. You can saute your herbs and also your onions. Saute that. Throw in a little vegan butter, and then add some coconut milk to that. So now you have a nice paste. And then you cook your rice on the side, and you put your chicken now in the oven. Let that cook for about 10, 12 minutes. Bring that out. Add that chicken now to that particular coconut spice. Let that simmer for about 5 minutes. You have like a nice coconut chicken spice with your rice. It's a great meal to have with this origin of Stoudemire wine.
Wow.
Man, Chef Stat, you got me hungry right now.
I know. That sounds delicious. So speaking of cooking, you actually are you have a farm and are selling grass-fed beef, from what I understand. So how did that start?
So I was always wanting to get involved in like the outdoor natural living space. I wanted to live naturally off the land and be out in the wilderness and just have freedom and just be free and enjoy nature. I'm an eco-green kind of guy. I love the whole situation of like being able to protect the ecosystem. And so I wanted to build a farm that would somewhat allow that to happen for me, but also still be able to create a product that my family can eat off of. And then it happened to grow into a working farm. It grew into something more. Now it's becoming a big deal because in today's time, everyone wants like natural food with less preservatives.
Yeah.
And so with Stoudemire Farms, we've been able to create this type of product where we have natural grass-fed cattle that are free-ranged, and this is what the farm-to-table world wants, and that's what we're going to give them.
Yeah. So there was a question in the chat which I wanted to ask you too, actually, which is about your acting career and how that all began.
My acting career started out. I was one of the first guys to do like a kind of not a sitcom, but like a commercial for All-Star, right? For voting for All-Star. And so I teamed up with David Spade back in the day, and we did like a creation of like, hey, vote for Amar'e, All-Star campaign. So I was the first guys in the NBA to do that, and it kind of caught on shortly after that. And then that, I also stepped into like TV shows. So I filmed a couple of TV shows. I filmed a live audience show. And then I got into the movie space. So I feel I was a part of MacGruber, Beyond the Lights, Trainwreck, New Year's Eve. So there's a lot of films that I was able to act in, along with being a producer as well.
So I love Trainwreck, by the way. So what's it like being kind of behind the scenes with Bill Hader and Amy Schumer? Are they funny when they're just being themselves?
It's nonstop. I mean, the comedy is nonstop. You're laughing the entire time. And then you also have Judd Apatow, the director, who's also a funny guy. So you're surrounded by just like love and happiness and comedic jokes. It was definitely a great time.
So how much of that was scripted versus you guys just improving?
So Amy Schumer actually wrote the film, and so a lot of that was somewhat written, but a lot of it also, I would say like 10%, 20% was also improv. So you have your script, you study your script, and then within that, you can somewhat ad-lib. You can be yourself. You can let your own comedic side come out, which shows a lot better on TV.
Yeah. So if you could just have your wish and make a movie with any, actor, actress, comedian in the world, who would you love to star in a film with?
Oh man, that's a great question. One of my favorite actors, one of my favorite actors is Idris Elba. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. I think he's brilliant with the way he acts. He's very, very authentic with every role. He has a swagger that I enjoy watching. And far as a female actress, Selma Hayek was one of my favorite actresses of all time. Yeah. I think she was also amazingly beautiful, but she's also a great actress. But yeah, I think for me, just to be on the same film with those two would be incredible.
Kamal, who do you want to see Amar'e act with?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Coming to America Part 3 or something, bro? What's going on here, man?
I like it. I like it.
Nice.
So, okay, well, I know you two are friends for a long time, and tell me what it's like. Where are you reaching in your cellar, Kamal, when you guys are just hanging out and popping some bottles?
Well, I'll tell you, of recent, the Origin's been really carrying a lot of weight because it's so drinkable. And it was warm in Miami. We were out, having a barbecue. We had this at the right temperature. It went super, super amazing with the stuff that we were grilling. I had my family in town, and my father fell in love with the wine, so it became something we were mixing in with our different Napas, the heavier cabs, because as you're saying, it's not a heavy wine. It's very approachable, very silky. So I love the smoothness of the product and just how accessible it is. So I've been really, really enjoying it and super impressed that he delivered a $100+ bottle for in the sub $30 range. So I've been very excited about just enjoying this juice. We mix in a little bit of French here and there, but I would say we've been pretty religious in pushing and enjoying the Origin. And it says in the back, we're descended from kings and queens. Our legacies lives on from the wines and the stories we share. And I find that that's true. And as I looked at sort of the anatomy of what he created in this piece of art, I reflected, the artist that he is, and just even reading that on the back and seeing at a young age of this wine, how well it drinks. So I could even imagine when it has a little bit of time to rest and that how the flavors would evolve and so forth over time. So I'm loving the fact that right now opens up, drinks super well. But I'm also loving the fact, as he had mentioned, you store some of these as collector items. Yeah. Seeing the evolution of what this juice will become, in the coming years. So it's exciting at the birth of this project and then witnessing sort of the trajectory and the growth that will be following along. Was, as I said, you got a real one here.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and it's an honor to be able to, present this on Wine Access. So thank you for allowing us to share it. A couple of questions. I know we're getting close on time, but a few things I saw in the chat. Someone was asking about what the right temperature is. So for me personally, Cabernet, I like to serve more at cellar temperature. So, storing wine, I store it like about 55 degrees, and I actually drink it not too much warmer than that. So, 60 degrees for a Cabernet Sauvignon is perfect for me. The sort of idea of drinking red wine at room temperature was conceived back when, average temperature was a little cooler. So rooms weren't, 75 degrees or warmer, depending on where you are, in Miami. So that's kind of my ideal serving temperature. I don't know if Amar'e, do you have a thought on that or?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the same. I think around that temperature is perfect for definitely for this origin bottle and for all Cabernet Sauvignons.
Yeah, great. And then another, I'm sort of paraphrasing this question that was in the chat, but it's about kind of the wine. And like, I guess the question, I think if I'm understanding it for you, is sort of what, if, someone, let's say, encountered this bottle and picked it up and poured it and tasted it, like ideally, what would you like them to just be able to know without knowing, who's behind it or anything else about the wine?
The flavor. The flavor of it, the taste, the drinkability of it. I think that's the idea. Without even looking at the label and knowing who made the wine, I would like for them to be able to taste it and say, this is a nice, easy, compatible drink wine. That's the ideal of it. That's the whole purpose of creating this juice.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I'm going to post the link one more time in the chat, just in case anyone is
and
curious.
That, I also want to talk about one of the things. It's amazing because also on StoudemireWines.com, you could find more information on the wine, and it links back to Wine Access. So you could do that. But one of the great things that through this pandemic, I discovered was with Wine Access and what they do and the way they ship the wines, temperature controlled. And another great part of what it is the story that they tell of the wines. So they actually did an amazing breakdown description, when to decant, how long to decant. So the educational process, which I know Amar'e is a big fan of with his striving for learning, and in our partnership and just being a client and consumer of Wine Access, I really love the educational process of what you guys do, and the time that you guys put into it and curating the wines and telling the story, so people would actually have a deeper understanding of the heritage of the wine and what's gone into it, and know what to look for and give that guidance. So, kudos to Wine Access, been an amazing partner. And it's amazing that also you're aligned with Stoudemire Wines, and you made it easy and accessible nationwide for everyone to be able to share this beautiful juice and as over beautiful stories, as it mentions on the bottle. So
cheers to Wine Access.
Oh, thank you. Cheers. Cheers to both of you. And Kamal, thank you so much to you, Devanshi, everyone at Haute Living, for presenting this today. Amar'e, obviously guest of honor. Thank you so much for being here. And then I'm going to post one more time in the chat also the link to, if you'd like to subscribe to the podcast, Wine Access Unfiltered. We've not released it yet, but we just recorded with Amar'e. That will be out in a couple of weeks. And we have released a podcast with Kamal, which has been one of our most commented on and popular, given that you have such an amazing network and wealth of stories to share. So you can definitely find those there, along with other people from the world of sports, comedians, music, all kind of walks of life. But it's people who really appreciate wine but are not in the wine business themselves. So we share some fun stories there. So anyway, well, we're at time, but I wanted to say thank you so much.
Yep. WineAccess.com, StoudemireWines.com, on behalf of Haute Living, Haute Wine, Wine Access, and Chef Stat, loving the new, the shell glasses. You're always bucking the trend. So looking forward to enjoying great times and stories with this wine, and make sure you pick it up from Wine Access.
Nice.
Cheers.
Thank you, Kamal. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amar'e. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.